Hello, Idaho Core teachers. Based on feedback from the last unit building course that we taught, we decided it would be a good idea to do a screencast and a quick walkthrough of the unit template and what we expect to be put in different places in the template. I want to give a big thank you to Amanda Fahey of the Mountain Home School District for sharing her unit with us. We think it's an excellent unit to look at as a mentor and a model. As we go through, I'll make some comments about it and what I like and some areas for improvement, and hopefully that will give people ideas for what they can put in their units. While it's great, it's by no means perfect, and so please keep that in mind as you fill yours out, that it won't be perfect the first time you enter something in there, but with revision and feedback it will continue to improve. So up here she put the title, plants, her name, if it's co-created with the team or something, obviously that would go in there. I can see here that she's integrating two different subject areas, so right away I know what I'll be looking for: the grade level and the estimated length. 5 weeks works for her. We understand that in different contexts the lengths might be different. In the unit overview, I have a good idea about what she expects from students, that they will be learning about plants. One thing I am left wondering about in the overview is what time of year the unit will be taught, because that would influence what kind of background knowledge students have coming into it and what kind of expectations she would have coming out of it. For a unit like plants, it would also be a consideration if students were growing plants. So I go down to the unit rationale. We ask you to include a key shift. Amanda opted to use key shift number 1 from the Idaho Core ELA literacy team. Students will build knowledge in academic language through a balance of content-rich, complex nonfiction and literary texts. So as a reviewer, I have a clear idea for what she's targeting with this unit. As a reviewer, I'm still wondering and curious about why she would pick that shift and why that spoke to her. She could also use a key shift from a quip or rephrase a key shift in language that makes sense to her if she wants to here. But overall, I'm happy that I have an idea of what she's getting after and the purpose of this unit for her as a teacher. So we go down to targeted standards. I can see here that she has a variety of reading informational texts, reading language, or reading literacy, writing, speaking and listening, and language standards. Here she only listed the Idaho Core grade level standards. I'm guessing that there are some first grade Idaho state content standards. It would be helpful for me as a reviewer if she included those as well. I'm sure she knows that she's addressing that, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. This would go for any content standard at any grade level. You're welcome to include them in here as well. One thing that I liked about the way Amanda set this up is she bolded her central standard, reading informational text standard number 2 for first grade, so I know which standard she's really getting after as her central one. As a reviewer, I wouldn't mind if she elaborated on that and maybe put the text from just that standard. It doesn't hurt to put the text from all of these so a reviewer can see how they all fit together, but this is enough information for me to see that she's integrating standards from different areas and I understand what her target is. The information that you'll want here, you're going to get from module number 2 when you do the standards grouping activity. You can just copy and paste the results from that in here. And likewise for unit rationale, when we look at key shifts in module 2, that also can go in here. For enduring questions and understandings, I like her list here. The work that you'll cover on essential questions can be found in module 4. She has a couple different ones here and the enduring understandings as well, and I appreciate getting all of them in here so I have a big picture of the big ideas she's after, as well as the guiding questions that'll help get her there. Over here we see the measurable outcomes, learning goals, learning targets, and success criteria. This section is going to relate very closely with the summative assessment piece. All of this will be covered in Module 5, which is on assessment. It's easy to get tripped up with the similarities between success criteria, summative assessment description, and rubric or assessment guidelines. Summative assessment description is really just the big picture. The success criteria are the specific things that a quality product will look like, and the rubric or assessment guidelines will be specific to the scoring of the piece and how you would grade it and things like that. And she did a good job in all of these of kind of focusing on that. And it's the really important thing is that you address this information. We're not going to nitpick which information went where. Just as a reviewer, we need to know how you're assessing what students are learning and how it's going to be scored. So as we move down to the text complexity analysis piece, that's going to be found in Module 3. So she just took the work that she did from that and put it in here. And in the quantitative, she chose to go with Lexile as that, put the range and the band, so I know exactly where the text is at. She clearly knew what she was doing in the text complexity module because she has a great description here of the qualitative features. And I really like down here in the reader task section, she actually used her standards as the tasks. So there's a clear connection back to that. And she also mentioned challenges and support and differentiation that she would use for students when she teaches that text. As a reviewer, I'm a little curious about what kind of tasks or work students will specifically do that will help get them ready for the final product or to deepen their understandings. But by all means, this is enough for me to have a clear idea of what she's doing and where she's going with that text and why she selected it. That brings us down to the instructional sequence, and big chunks of this you're going to fill out as you go along. By all means, if you have clear ideas, it's great to start putting them in there now. You might put some of the final assessment stuff in at the end of the sequence, but early in this course, because we cover assessment relatively early on, because we have that end in mind, and then you can kind of go in and backfill the weeks that lead up to it. Here for the front-loading piece, that's definitely something we cover in depth in Module 8 when we talk about sequencing, so you can probably take some work that you do from there, some ideas from there, and plug them right in here. And she did a great job here. She just gave a real brief snippet. She wants to use photo galleries. Students will observe a variety of photographs placed on the wall around the classroom. They will make a comment of each piece of paper below the photo in the column. What do you see, or what are you wondering? Students will make a comment for each photo. I will give 20 minutes to complete this. After 20 minutes, we'll walk around the room and discuss each photo. So as a reviewer, I have a really clear idea of what she's doing and how she's doing it. She's not scripting every single question and every single thing she's doing, but I have enough information to have a clear idea of what's going on. So I'm going to talk about the sequence briefly. I'm not going to go through the whole unit. Like I said, the purpose of this recording is just to give people an overview of what goes where. So here for this column on the far left-hand side, you can see that the header for it is activity and strategy. And so Monday, she's doing a photo galleries activity, KWL about plants, and a read aloud. So that's just it in a nutshell. And then over here in the text and resources, this is kind of a materials list for her basically. What are the things she's going to need in order to do this? She's going to need some photographs, some visuals, and the text Cactus Hotel. So I know right there that that's the read aloud that she's going to do. And finally in here, we put this text under sequencing and scaffolding as just suggestions. It's not limited to these, and you could actually get a little bit more in depth. It's one of the reasons we picked Amanda's unit, is because she did such a good job in this area describing and naming specifically what she was doing. For this first day here, she labeled this as building knowledge. And I would actually go so far as to say she might have added the word activating knowledge as well, because with that KWL, she's asking what students already know about the topic. And here in the notes, she just mentions those things. They're building new knowledge. She's guiding them through the process, and this is just kind of a very brief rationale for why this goes first and how this is going to help get them started. Over here for assessments, she doesn't have anything listed in here. She might consider adding that the KWL would be a formative assessment, and the result of the photo gallery would be another one. And she actually mentions that in the notes section over here. And that's just a great space. If there's anything that isn't really addressed in these first 4 columns, you have something else you want to say, it goes here. This is what made sense to us as far as a way to set this up. So we hope it makes some sense for you. If you really need to change it to make sense for you, by all means do. By the same token, make sure that all these areas are addressed if you make any changes to it. So as we move down, you notice here she put building knowledge and composing to practice. So don't feel like it's mutually exclusive, that you can only mention one thing. A lot of these actually might serve more than one purpose. And so I know here that she's giving her students practice using vocabulary terms, which they're going to have to do for their summative assessment, which is a brochure. So that makes a lot of sense to me that goes there. And again, she puts the activities here and the materials that go with them there. As you go down here, I really liked how she put that she's differentiating between different kinds of materials. That this one's a text, or a video, and then this would be a text. It'd be even more helpful if there was a link to the video in here. But this, I'm sure I could Google or search for this on YouTube and be able to find that. I'm also really happy that early on in the unit, I see giving her students a chance composing to plan, so they're getting an idea of what that final product's going to look like. So we're going to skip down towards the end. As a reviewer, for the end of the sequence, there's a couple things I'm going to be looking for, and one of them is transfer. So students have a way they're going to present their information, and some maybe a little bit more elaboration on what activity would go in here and how they're going to transfer what they learned to other settings, and obviously final drafts, and plenty of time before that for second drafts and revision. So that's definitely something I'm going to be looking for near the end of the sequence. Then down here, a lot of these things from the integrated literacy model were also pulled from different modules. This one specifically module number 7, and there's a couple options in there that address academic vocabulary, which would go down there. So again, she just gave a real brief synopsis here of what the lesson would look like. She mentions things like a 3 to 5 sentence story using the vocabulary words. That gives me a good enough idea of what that looks like and what to expect, that she doesn't need to explain everything about it. Down here in targeted vocabulary, this should be for the entire unit to kind of map that out. That might be something that you start early on and kind of add on to this in your unit as you go through. You don't need to be exhaustive about how it's taught here. You could just reference a specific day or a specific week maybe that you introduce the terms, and if there's things that you're doing like journaling or whatever that is a recurring thing, you could just say that throughout the unit that's happening. That brings us down to the close reading activity, which is you're going to do in module 6. So again, when you complete that module, you can just take what you did from there and put it in here. With the text excerpt, it can be really tricky at different grade levels what they're going to use. We just have enough here to get an idea of what she's using and the questions that go along with it. So I have an understanding of what she's doing, but it's not every single thing spelled out. And then finally, that brings us down to scaffolds and extensions. You're going to do the work for this in module 9. I like how exhaustive she is here with the UDL representation. As a reviewer, I can put it together myself, but I wouldn't mind some examples in here of, this Muddy Marvy is an example of a certain kind of representation or something like that, or engagement, to give me a little bit a clearer idea. She gives some great descriptions here of how she's going to support other students, and I feel like they will be successful when they go through this unit. So again, thanks to Amanda Fahey for letting us use her unit for this, and we hope that this screencast was helpful in the work that you're going to do.